We are here at the next video on my channel, Goalball Tournaments portrayed by Erstellt. Today we have the next interview of a team. That's Team Germany in the men's division. The video is already available. And now we have the interview of a player from Germany, and that's Michael Dennis. Michael, at first, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
And yeah, I start with the first question. That's about your name, Michael Dennis. That doesn't sound like a German. And what's the reason for that?
Basically, it could be a German name. It's just not a really popular or common German last name that, or it's in general not really popular that you have two potential first names, and one of them is your last name. But the reason is that I got married last year to the US women's player Amanda Dennis, and so I took her last name. So mine changed from Feistle to Dennis.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. And yeah, now we come to the sport. And my first question is how the preparations of your team, Team Germany, are going.
All in all, we can't complain about the preparation period. Got extended through COVID by one whole year. And at the beginning, we thought it's maybe a disadvantage for us. But at the end, if I look back on all the things we improved on within the last year on and off court, I personally think that it was an advantage for us in relation to some other teams. We had some good tournament experience within the last weeks. We had a training camp with Lithuania in May. We played a tournament in Turkey. We played a tournament in Lithuania. We had the Bundesliga stage in Germany. So all in all, I think that our players are one of the very low numbers of players which will have a good amount of competition experience throughout the COVID situation. And I think that that is also really helpful for us.
Okay, and how does the COVID pandemic change your preparations?
The first point was that nobody of us was allowed to train in March, April, mostly also May of last year. And then throughout the summer of 2020, the situation changed that, sports was allowed again, and that also gyms opened up again. And it was really good that the government allowed we call it tier athletes in Germany. You're in the tier system. And if you're in the highest tiers or in like countrywide tiers and not only by your state you're living in, you have the opportunity also throughout the lockdowns, which came afterwards, to continue with your training. And the only difference was really that we didn't have the opportunity at the local clubs where we are training to play 3-on-3 goalball. It was a lot of individual sessions, or that you only had maybe 4 or 5 people who were allowed to train at that moment, that you had to get creative ways to get some good training in. And it was really good that we were also allowed since I think August of last year to play with the national team regularly in the training camps. And so at least that was really good. But it obviously changed the whole preparation, because some guys played at the end of 2019 a tournament in Barcelona in Spain, and that was the last tournament for those. Some players haven't played that tournament, so their last one was Europeans 2019, and there you see how much this pandemic changed the preparation time, because tournaments is normally a really important piece throughout the preparation, and we were really lucky that we could play some this year.
Yeah, okay. When we come to another topic, that's your goals, the goals of Team Germany for the Paralympic Games. And my question, what's your goal for the Paralympic Games, and what do you expect that you can reach at the Paralympic Games?
Our goal let's start at that point. We sat together at the beginning of 2020 and talked about our goal for the games, as they were not postponed at that point. And everybody agreed that we definitely have the opportunity to win a medal in Tokyo. The games got postponed, and we sat together. It was both in the main training center in Germany. It's in the place Kienbaum, we call it. And we sat together again, and we were like, okay, one more year for our preparation, and we all agreed that we will have the opportunity to play for the gold medal, and that is also our goal, to reach the gold medal, to reach the top of the podium. We do know that it will be a hard challenge because there are a lot of good teams. I personally think that there are like 5-6 teams who are playing for the medals minimum, if not also that all of these teams can get a Paralympic champion. But obviously Brazil will still be the favorite because they haven't lost any games since the semifinal in the Rio Paralympics. But they haven't played any tournaments since 2019, since the Pan American Games. So that is their biggest disadvantage. And we had at least some tournaments in Europe, so the European teams will be a little bit more prepared for the Paralympics. And we need to bring our best performance on court every game. We've seen that there is the possibility that other teams can beat us if we're offering them enough opportunities, for example, through our penalties, to score on us. But if we keep our own easy mistakes really low, the other teams will have also really hard challenge to win against Germany. So I personally can remember times where teams were like, okay, we're playing against Germany, that's an easy victory for us. And now it's different. Like teams are looking on us and are like, whew, we don't want to really play against Germany. And I personally think that one of our most difficult games can be the game against China. And I'm personally really happy that we're having them in the group stage, because you never know what you're getting from them, because they only play mostly the Asian Pacific Championships and show up at Worlds, and you never seen them at any other tournament. So that is really good for us that we're having them in the group stage and not like these huge, sort of kind of question mark, maybe in a quarterfinal or something like that.
Okay, and what's your goal? Which position you say that's the position we will get at the Paralympic Games? What do you think about that?
I personally think if everybody is in shape and healthy, that we have the opportunity to win the gold medal. But everybody needs to bring their best performance, especially if we will face Brazil. But it is for us, with the quality this team has and the experience this team has, maybe a once in a lifetime chance to win the gold medal. And I'm really sure that we can win that.
Yeah, okay. You say for your team, it's a once in a lifetime chance. And in 1980, Germany won the Paralympic Games, and 1990, they won the World Championship. But after that, with beginning the 2000s, Germany wasn't as good. And what do you think? What was the reason why Germany wasn't as good in the 2000s, like, for example, in the 80 years or the 1990 years?
I can't give you a really good answer about that question. First of all, because I'm around Goalball since 2009, so the most detailed knowledge I have about that sport is like from that time and then continuing up to today. But first of all, Goalball got introduced like through a German and Austrian person. Like they created Goalball, so like the sport has their roots in like also in Germany, and especially in the 1970s and 1980s. I do know from my old school Marburg, Goalball was a really important piece for the sports club there, and they had a lot of Goalball players. And I've only seen a Paralympic final from 1992 on YouTube once between Italy and Finland. And if I compare those games with the games today, the game has changed dramatically. It's way more athletic. It's way more dynamic. The speed is way higher. Like obviously, there are also some other rules. So yeah, I can't really give you an answer, but the point is, as I came along with the national team, that we had a kind of old national team up to that point, and the coaches Johannes and Stefan built up a young team. They also trusted the young players. They gave the young players the opportunity to do their mistakes, to learn out of those, to get their experiences. And I totally remember one tournament. It was my second one with the national team, where we were up against Lithuania by 2-1 at halftime. At tournament, we were like, damn, we're really talented and we're really good. And then like they mercied us within like 3-4 minutes in the second half. So we were like, okay, we're not that good. But to see this whole way from the tournaments where we lost a lot of games, where we got a lot of times mercied, to the moment where we found the way how Goalball fits for us the best, like what's the best playing style for us, the best defense style for us. And that is something which only works with these players we're having right now. You couldn't be like, okay, that is the recipe for everybody to be successful, because the way we're playing works with the players we're having. And I think that is the difference we're having right now, that the coaches found together a way with the players to show the best from everybody they individually have.
Yeah, that sounds great. And the next question I have, you already told that to me, that if you make mistakes, it could be difficult to win. And I want to talk with you about the tournament in Ankara, for example, the game against Algeria. You only won by 14-12, and also in Lithuania, a game against the Ukraine. You lead it 5-0 at halftime, and you lost the game 5-6 because you made 3 penalty shots by a lead of 5-0. How is that possible, that if you lead 5-0, for example, and then 3 penalties, what is the reason for that? And if you look on that, do you think you reach that to play in the Paralympic Games without these mistakes you made in these both tournaments in Ankara and also in Lithuania? Because, for example, in Lithuania, you only reached the 5th place. And yeah, if you look on that, what do you think then?
I already hear in your question the critics about the team, but you need to keep in mind the way we played. Let me go back to the Ankara tournament, the game you talked about against Algeria, where we were there with a squad of 7 people. One person always had to sit out on the stands, was not allowed to play in that game. It was Ollie, because he had a little bit of problems also with his wrist, which also is a reason why he hasn't played really in Lithuania at the tournament. And I sat on the bench because I have problems since my knee, where I definitely need a surgery, which I'm just postponing after the games because I have a 10 to 12 month recovery afterwards. So they see how necessary that surgery for me will be. But that is also, the key reasons why the games happened how they happened. We didn't have like all our starters on court. In both tournaments, especially in that Algeria game you talked about in Ankara, and you also saw that with at least 1 or 2 of the starters, it's possible to turn around the game against Algeria. We were by 90 seconds left on the clock down with 2, and we won at the end with we were down with 3, and we won at the end with 2. And there you also see the quality the players have who are more seen in the starting lineup, and that is no critics to the other ones. Like, we tried a lot of things, we gave a lot of players match experience, which was also really important for our coaches, because they hadn't decided at that point which 6 players will make the Tokyo squad. And so they gave especially those whom they wanted to see play a little bit more play time. So that was the one point about the Ankara tournament. And on the other hand, you really need to say that Samir from Algeria, he had a really good day. He was throwing really good. Like he had like some really ugly shots to defend. They were not really easy to defend. So also credit to Algeria that they made it as difficult as possible for us. And the Lithuania tournament showed that we do need players also on court, which keep the team a little bit relaxed, that we are not getting as many penalties against as it happened throughout the Lithuania tournament, because by open play goals we won every game. We only lost the games because of the penalties, and it was like two things. It was one, because we got a lot of penalties against us and didn't block a lot, and two, because we haven't scored on our penalty opportunities throughout that tournament. That is also the difference, that normally I'm throwing the penalties in this team, and that was then the job of other players who are not doing it as often. So they're not as practiced in it or as experienced in it in game situations. But that is a point where we don't worry about, because for the Paralympics, I'll be back on court, and also take over then the offense penalties again. And two, that we have learned out of this situation that the biggest opponent for us is maybe ourselves with the penalties. And I don't worry about that, because we're a smart team. We learn out of our mistakes, and it's really important to do these mistakes, that you do know what you need to do. And if you go back to the last championship tournaments, 19, 18, and 17, we were the team with the least amount of penalties against us. And that will be the route we're taking again in Tokyo, and let the other teams get their penalties. You also saw it in Ankara against in the important games. You also need to say that we won every game in Ankara. We beat Lithuania, we beat Ukraine, we beat Turkey. And also with all the penalties, we also beat Lithuania at the Lithuanian tournament. So there you see that it is not as bad as it sounds if you take all these like games against Algeria or Ukraine you were talking about in Lithuania. So I still see us in a really strong position.
Okay, yeah. Then we come to the next topic, and that's your own goals you have as Michael Dennis. What do you expect of yourself, and what's the goals you have as if you only look on you?
I don't have any individual goals, because as an individual player, you're only as strong as your team is. Also, if it wasn't the last competitions, maybe that I scored a good amount of goals, but that is one because I'm a really good penalty shooter. That is the one reason. And the other reason is that I score more the smart goals. My throw is not the fastest, but I try to use the defense mistakes the other team is maybe offering, or like the gaps the other team is offering, because I can hit the spots very well. But that is also only possible, for example, with all the penalties, because we're playing as a whole team a really good defense. And so other teams have to go up to their limits and then getting the long balls or high balls, because otherwise they're not able to score against us. And so that is a thing the whole team is putting pressure on the other team. And then it's just like me who has to finish, for example, these penalty situations. But all in all, I'm not really much more important than one of the other guys who are on the team. I'm maybe a little bit the leader on court for this team, but like I said, I can't do it without the other guys. And so my goal is the same like the goal from the team, to win a gold medal in Tokyo. And it doesn't matter who's scoring the goals. At least at the end, I want to have the gold medal. And if Felix scores 30 goals throughout the tournament, cool. At least I have the gold medal. I don't care who's scoring or something like that. I want to put a good performance out there. I want to put out a good defense performance, first of all, on the court, because that is really important for the whole team. Lead the team on court by like my body language, by my communication, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that sounds well. And now we come to a last question. I know that's not specifically about global and also not about sports, but about the COVID pandemic. Maybe you know the European Championship in soccer was played in front of 65,000 spectators in the semifinals and final games in London. And now at the Paralympic Games and also at the Olympic Games, you will play completely without spectators. And what's your opinion about that? At first, because of a double standard, because soccer is allowed to and we are not. And at second, what's your opinion about in the topic safety of the people? And yeah, what's your opinion about these two topics in this situation?
First of all, I think that you can't really compare these two kinds of tournaments, or it's at the end, it's three kinds of tournaments. A soccer European Championship is not played where, like, for example, at the Olympics are living 18,000 people out of over 200 countries together in a village. Every team has their own hotel, their own place to stay. So that is one key aspect, which is a huge difference about these two tournaments and why you can't really compare those. The other thing is that you have barely any, or you do have outdoor competitions, but you have also a lot of indoor competitions at the Olympics and Paralympics, which is also, again, a difference to soccer, which is played only outdoors. So that is the one point. The other aspect is that about the Paralympic Games and the spectators is not put out a final decision by the Japanese government yet. If I look on the COVID numbers they're having in Tokyo and Japan in general, I'm not thinking about having spectators there. And I personally think that is totally okay, because they just don't want that COVID is getting a really big topic throughout, like people being in the venues and passing it along each other, and maybe also passing it to athletes who are competing there, or that an athlete is like passing it to people who are just spectators. I think that one of the most important things why they're not allowing any spectators there, and that all the athletes from all these different countries stay sort of kind of in their bubble, and that there's not any additional risk throughout spectators. So I personally don't see there a double standard. You can personally think about the soccer Europeans, like everybody can have their opinion about that. I also do have mine about this topic, to play in front of like 65,000 people in Hungary or in London. But like I said, it's something totally different if it is a soccer game or if it is Olympic Games, where also then, for example, spectators are all in the Olympic Park where multiple venues are and all that stuff. So you can't really compare it. The organizers in Japan do their best that we have at least the opportunity to compete on the biggest sports stage in the world for the Olympics and Paralympics. And that is the more important piece, where I'm really thankful for. And I've always said also for Goalball players, it's sometimes not really a big difference than at the Paralympics than at your national championships, because you also mainly play that without spectators, and mostly only guys who are sitting in front of the live streams. Will be the same this time from that view. And maybe it's then also really a tournament where it's deciding just on the skill and maybe not as much on the pressure which is coming from the stands, from spectators, where some athletes are struggling with them, some athletes don't.
And what does it make with you, with the motivation for the games, does it change your motivation, or do you mean that doesn't matter to you?
You mean in playing in front of spectators or not?
Yeah.
It hasn't changed my motivation. For me, the competition is the more important thing. And I do know that a lot of people from home will cross their fingers for us, that we will have like a big crowd behind us who want us to win. And I personally think that we will also get these emotions over to Japan. And at the end, you also need to say that in Japan, you wouldn't have played really in front of friends and family, which was completely different. For example, in Rostock, there it was at the Europeans a complete different topic. But all in all, it hasn't changed my motivation for the games because I want to win the gold medal. And we lost against USA in quarterfinals 2016 in front of, I think, around about 10,000 spectators. And I'd rather win gold in an empty gym than like getting knocked out in quarterfinals in front of 10,000 people.
Okay, yeah, that sounds well. And yeah, I wish you and the whole team Germany all the best, that you will reach your goals. And yeah, now we are at the end. I don't have any question. And if there is something you want to tell, then you can do that now.
Thanks for the invitation for the interview. And I hope that everybody can enjoy the games from home via live stream, or I obviously wish all the other teams in men's and women's competition good luck. And yeah, I really hope that it has maybe the little bit better end for us.
Yeah, that's the thing everyone will think. And yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed that, and we will meet again next video. Until then, I wish you all the best. Take care and goodbye.